Hi, it's Nancy welcoming you to Gardens Grow. So in this bipolar part of the season, when things are going to seed, some things are dying back, and then other things are putting on new growth for the fall. It's just hard to know what's really going on. I guess all of that's going on at the same time. It's almost confusing, and then it's hard because it's so hot, and yet you're so hopeful because you know that fall is coming and cooler weather is a very great possibility, and you just can't wait. Some of the nurseries are putting on their little house plants for sale right now too, and I purchased this one, which you know I've had it before, took it inside my house and killed it. So I'm hoping that's not what happens with this one. I know it's a possibility, but I'm going to try it again, and I'm going to try to get a clay pot for it. I think that's one thing. They love the clay pots because they don't let water stay on their roots as long as some of the plastic or resin pots do. So I'm going to try those for some of my house plants this year, as well as I'm definitely planning on getting them in sometime this month so that I don't end up waiting too long and they get some of the cold nights that may be part of what's keeping them from doing well and living through the winter. This one is, of course, a Crescendo Plant. I did manage this week to find the time to clean out one of my bird baths, so I feel good about that. They all definitely need it, but this has been another busy week, naturally. They all seem to be. And happy Labor Day, which I know that is Monday. But I know that when I get this on, it'll be way past, or at least about a month past Labor Day. I'm about a month behind on my getting them on YouTube as when I tape them in the garden. But at least you'll have it all in the record of how it actually happened in the garden. There is so much that will need to be done, though, before I have a little last get-together in the garden. As you can tell, a bunch of the tall garden phlox is going away. And probably it may almost all be gone by that time. So I need to trim a bunch of it down. There's just work everywhere that needs to be done. There's stuff that's grown out into the path, and I was kind of waiting till these go to seed. I feel that my granddaughter would just love some of this. I gave her just a little, but I would like to give her a few more of these seed. And this is the double cosmos. It won't be that long before frost will be here. We've been having it in October. I hope that doesn't happen this year. I would love to have a long fall, but we'll have to wait and see what will happen there. And when it does happen, I need to have these covered. If I cover them, they look almost ready to go when spring gets here. But unless we have another, let's see, what did my friend Alma call it? Oh my, I can't remember, something Blizzard Mageddon or something like that. Unless we have another one of those, this will live through the winter and come back. But if you don't cover it, it will not look as good. But of course you'll have to just cover. I just cover this part of this little angel with plastic and tie it around the angel part, and just let it billow down here, which does give it protection, and yet still lets it get air underneath it and snow or whatever moisture we happen to get through the winter. And then it's ready to go in the spring pretty much. And also some of my coleus needs clipping back. I've clipped this back some, but I need to clip some of it back quite a bit more. But I was trying to wait until we have a cooler weather so that I can go ahead and transfer these little bits and get them started in different places where they have succumbed to the elements of summer. Of course, some of the coleus that I trimmed back earlier is just looking great. This looks like a big mound of beauty. And then that little sweet potato vine that I transplanted here and didn't know how it was going to do it. It stood there wilted for quite some time, put its little root down, and it has gone like crazy and done wonderfully well. And the sedum is blooming everywhere, in the ground and in pots. I love the beautiful sedum, and so do the butterflies. There's one on this one right now, and as they get all in bloom, there's sometimes just masses of butterflies on them. They make just a beautiful little green plant all the rest of the year, and then in late summer and fall they put these beautiful little tufts of color on. And of course the grasshoppers are still out and about like crazy, just popping here and there. And I have put some eliminator down for them, and it does keep them from just taking over, but not nearly as much as I would like. I would just like them to be gone, I think. I was going to say too that my lifelong friend, I called her one day this week, and she said, "Nancy, I have a garden too. I planted the backyard, and it's not as big as yours, but it's big enough, and I hate it." She said, "It's so miserable out there in that hot, and you have to water every day." And I said, I agree. I thought about quitting myself, but I hope we hold on now at least until after this cooler weather comes, and hopefully we can enjoy that. I was going to see if I saw a bloom on this, but I still don't know if this is a weed or a plant, but I'm thinking that it might be the orange Chinese lanterns. I planted some, and I think this might be it, but I'm not sure, so we'll see. We'll still have to wait and see on that one. And I'm seeing I have a new bloom at the top of this little tiered pot. This little bright yellow with that bright pink center is always a welcome sight. I'll have to take my Rex begonias in, and oh my, I dread it because they're so beautiful out here. They do pretty well for me outside through the summer, but then it's just, it's not even 50-50 if I get to bring them. It's more like 90-10 if they'll get to come back out or not, but I'm certainly going to give it my all. You can see I do have these in clay pots, and I'm just going to try so hard. And then this little plant that my friend Oma gave me, isn't that gorgeous? That's called an artillery fern, and she says these grow wild like a weed in Florida. So it's just so pretty to me. I love that filigree look of that foliage. Still holding on are my little mums that I think they are making their own little root. I really do think they are, so that's great. I know they look terrible right now, but that's okay. If they make a root, you know that everything's going to die back to the root as soon as frost and a hard freeze gets here. So next spring this little pot may just be full of a beautiful creamsicle colored mum, and I have not had the time or found the time to go ahead and fix up this little water garden, but I still would love to. It looks so bad right now, and I think it could look good again. I'm sure it could. And I'm considering clipping all this little plant way down. There's actually other flowers in there if they have a chance to live. There's some pretty purple vinca, and I really forgot what all might be down in there. So but this is done so well too. I hate to let go of it, but if the weather is cooler, I might can plant these somewhere else and they would still live. So I may do that. I'm not sure, but I kind of would like to see my pretty purple vinca in there. And one of my plans for today is to come out here and clip these way back and take these little spent flowers for seed for next year. This was a beauty when it was all fresh in bloom, but it needs a chance to maybe do that again, and it can if I get it done soon enough. It has time to reform bloom on here. I'm kind of expecting new bloom on these iris. They've never looked so good since my husband trimmed this back for me and gave them where they could get sunlight. And then I put the hose over here and put little holes in it all the way through so that the water has come out, and it's getting the iris enough. Of course, they don't like a lot of water after they bloom, but they've gotten enough water from the other side of the little trail there that they have just went like crazy this year, and I hope they continue to look beautiful, and I hope they bloom like crazy next spring. So for another happening in the garden, this is happening. Mums are breaking open. Soon the garden will be awash in color again, but I will have to look out for those cucumber beetles, because I'm guessing once you have them, you just have to really keep an eye out for those and spray them. And now that I've found something that will help them, I definitely want to keep that up, keep on top of it. And here's some more of those little zinnias. These are the little profusion zinnias, and these are the double. They have both double and single, and of course these are the double, and that's what I just got through showing you, that were all brown and dying. So these are more new. There's one right there I should go ahead and take off, and maybe that one and this one. So I need to get some of these off so that they can renew and refresh themselves and hopefully be pretty again. That also goes for my bigger, taller zinnias too. The foliage is getting it's just succumbed to the elements of summer, just like us gardeners have too. I'm sure we've all felt some of it. But hopefully I can get those clipped back, and you can tell they're still trying to renew themselves by that pretty bud right there. It's a good time to go ahead if you have stuff that you want more of. It's a good time to start it. I know that the actual fall weather is not here yet, but we're supposed to have a rain which will cool us down for a couple of days, and that will give them a chance to get their little roots started, and it won't be long. I think they'll be able to make it until the cooler weather comes, and then that'll give them a longer period to get their root established before the actual hard freezes come. This is one that I would like to put in some of my other little baskets, little hanging baskets and such, because I just think it would be pretty up where you could see it more. As well as here, I like this little plant. and it's one of the Artemisia, I'm not sure how to pronounce that, but and it's also called wormwood, and it's just a very pretty little plant. And here's another little bipolar example of the beautiful fall garden. Look at the vinca or periwinkle. It's just practically gone. I've tried to snip it back, but I think if I snip this back as much as it needed, there would be nothing left. And even the salvia is just almost non-existent. But look right here beside it, this little zinnia has decided to come out to play. And my friend Oma was here yesterday, and she actually did take home her creeping Jenny moneywort and the little black and blue salvia that I had for her. What I wanted to show you is this beautiful begonia right here. This is dragon wing begonia, and it takes it a little while to get going, but once it does, it just keeps on going. It's so beautiful. Or maybe I'm just so besotted with begonias, and I really don't know why, but they just catch my eye. This is another place. Oh my goodness, it's just too overgrown. I need to clean this out. I think I've already told you that, but as you can see, I haven't got around to that yet either. And this little purple splash pepper is not doing very much. It's still healthy, but it's just not doing very much, whereas this one is filling out quite nicely. And so I do have two, this one and one in the front, that are looking good, and I'm still proud of this one right here. I'm not counting it out yet. It may be small, but I just love the deep purple and green and white, and then the lighter, brighter purple on this purple splash pepper. It's a lovely plant. And this is some of the black and blue salvia like I gave my friend Oma, only hers was not bloomed out good yet. But hers is small, but it will get this big and this beautiful and bigger and more beautiful most likely. This is a little bit more in the shade, I think, than it likes, so it's kind of laying over a bit, that it can stand up tall and just really shine in the garden. These are some more things I'm trying to get up out of the garden, and I've got most of them actually, but the stems of where the daylilies have been spent, and they're dry enough that mostly I can get them up out of the ground now, but a few of them are still green and they're harder to pull up, and I think I'll just wait until I can just pull those right out before I take them out. And I think I have learned not to put my Mexican flame vine in with my other vines, and I'm not sure if this is a mandevilla or a passion vine or one of each on there. That's possible. So I'll be glad when they bloom, if they do, and I certainly hope they do. But I won't probably put the same ones in the same place to grow, because the leaves of the other two vines are so much bigger that they just kind of hide the pretty bright orange of the Mexican flame vine bloom. And here's another thing. I've got to pull this up because it just got heavy and is leaning over into the path, so I just as soon have that up and out of there. So my little bipolar seasoned garden, it's kind of like an old house that you buy. It's got potential, but right now it looks like what it needs is simply a lot of work, just a lot of work to make it look good again. But there's so much beauty there. If we could get it tamed a little bit, it would be still pretty again for the fall, and that's what I really do want. And I was noticing, of course, this is the blue lobelia, but I think maybe, possibly, this might be the red lobelia. So that would be great to find out. I still have some of it in the garden. You know what I'm thinking would be fun? If we could go see my friend Susie's garden. We'll see if she will agree to that. We might do that one day. Ever since she told me she planted one, I've been wondering what all she has in it. Look at this lovely flower ice cream cone. And here's some more of the black and blue salvia. I think Oma thought the one I gave her was a different variety because it was so short, but when I transplanted it, the tops of it got burned in the heat, so I trimmed them off. But once it gets a chance to grow, put its little root down and grow. If it doesn't get too cold this winter for it, it will be this big and maybe even bigger for her in the next summer. So there's more to do than I'll ever get done. Like these little pots right here definitely need, if I trim them off, I don't know even still if they would be able to come out of it, but I'm going to try it. And if they don't, that's where I'll put some of the clippings that I clip off of the coleus that are kind of overgrown. Some of my dahlias are giving it up, but others still have a lot of pretty bloom on them. I'm totally loving the zinnias, even though they do need trimmed back too, but they're so pretty. And I'll have some seed. Look at this big one right back here. Even though it's kind of past its prime, but it's still showing you that it was at one time a gorgeous bloom. You know, when we're young, we don't really know that we're beautiful. But when we get older and look back, we realize we weren't so bad looking. We weren't as let's see, what would the word be? As common or as useless of a person that we thought we might be. God has a purpose for our lives. And He loves us with a deep, wonderful, gracious love. I'm so happy for that. The ironweed is blooming. It's pretty purple blooms too. This little plant doesn't last as long as I would like it to. And there's some more of our bipolar, which I'm feeling it too, because you can probably tell my voice goes all excited and then it gets all depressed because this kind of stuff is just terrible, and the heat is just boiling down on me right now, even though it's supposed to cool off tonight and we should have rain. Hopefully we have chances of rain. Oh, I hope we get that. It would disappoint me to no end if we don't. But isn't this part of it beautiful? And once this little one got going, it just took off. Just a few days ago I showed you this and they were barely up above the stalk part of it, and now they've made leaves, and soon I'm sure they'll open up, spread out, and just be gorgeous. And last night I took my bougainvillea. You can tell that some of it is wilty, but some of it is not. So the ones that are wilty I actually clipped off and they have no root, but I put them in rooting powder and put them back down in the ground. So I'm hoping, this is kind of a scraggly little plant, so I'm hoping to fill it out like that. If it does, that will be wonderful. If it doesn't, I won't lose anything, because it would have to been trimmed down to be brought in the house anyway. So I'm hoping that it will just build its little root before I have to take it in. I'm pretty sure they wouldn't build a root in my house. I'm just not good with houseplants. I'm very happy if they simply live. Also, I noticed that my mums in the pots are opening up more and more, so it won't be long till they'll be really showing us that fall is here. So I just finished getting some of my zinnias, and of course these are the globe flower, the purple globe flower. These are the larger zinnias. So got those off where the others can make new ones and where I can have seed for next year. And I'm sure you know which part of the bipolar this season, this part of this season brings out. Oh my goodness, I hate these little bugs. And one of our friends from the diner where we have breakfast brought my husband and I some Colorado peaches, and they were wonderful, but I put the peel out here because they draw butterflies to the garden, and this one has flown away every time I've tried to get its picture for you, but you can tell it's over there. Its little wing is fluttering a bit. I wanted to get it with its wings wide open, but I don't think that's going to happen, especially in this heat. So I'm going in, but you do get the point that just put some fruit out for them, or just rotting fruit, and they love it. Please be sure to like and subscribe to the channel.